This show is sponsored by Realtor Cynthia Baer, Putting Down Roots. Visit your in-town real estate specialist in Atlanta at cynthiabaer.com.
You are now tuned in to the Good Gracious Show. Welcome.
Howdy, Good Gracious family. It is Sunday, February 3rd, 2019. Boyd Baker here with the Good Gracious Show podcast. And wanted to remind you, just a week away from our February 9th Good Gracious Show number 14, the live show, not the podcast show, the one you can actually see. And this one, doing a little differently. We're heading into Candler Park, and there's a beautiful space there. It used to be Epworth Church. It's now Neighborhood Church. They've had a major renovation, and they have a great soul for justice and arts. So I talked to the folks and some of my neighbors down the street, and we are going to give it a shot over there. It's a beautiful space and a lot of room, and a lot of people are going to enjoy it. I think that have been to past shows because it provides a lot of extras. So that's in Candler Park, February 9th, 8 o'clock. I'm talking to somebody, your doors open at 7 if you want, and we just might have some really good local barbecue from Two Brothers Barbecue and some other goods if you needed to come grab a snack before the show. So put that on the calendars now. You can go get your tickets at the website. And, that's about it. So for this episode, I started talking and revisiting some folks nearby. And some of you may remember Zach Steele with the Broadleaf Writers Association. He created this nonprofit to really help writers hone their craft and create gathering opportunities and professional development for them, because it's it's kind of a solitary business a lot of times, and there's a lot to be gained by talking to other folks and realizing that, one, your challenges are not always that unique, and other people may have some good solutions for you, and just makes you a better writer. The more you write and the more you talk to others and learn how they do it. So anyway, Zach and I talked because he's gone full-time with this nonprofit now. And so he gets kind of a different perspective where it used to be time sharing between the Georgia Center for the Book and other projects. So talked with Zach, and then also met a marvelous musician, Nathan Evans Fox. Super guy. Met him through Jason Waller, my friend who's working to open Waller's Coffee Shop over in Decatur. And he said, check out Nathan. And Nathan came in, and we had a great chat and solved all the world's problems. And he played a song or two, and it was just a good day. So I think you're really going to enjoy hearing his stylings. So with that being said, I hope you enjoy.
I'm Nathan Evans Fox. I'm a songwriter, I guess in the Americana vein. I guess that's like the big tent term that holds best. And I live in Atlanta and do that.
Wait, was there another Nathan Fox that you had to throw the Evans out there?
Yes. Yeah.
Here in town?
Not in town, but he has enough of a following to where I kind of had to do some differentiating. Despite being told by numerous people it was pretentious to have the three-name thing, I did what I had to do.
Well, because, it only gets pretentious when you start going by the initials of those three.
Oh,
right?
True. Yes.
That's how you do that
Yeah.
one. So, well, that's cool. Well, how long have you been playing?
Boy, that's a complicated question. I started playing violin when I was 4, and have been playing like church groups and things like that until I turned 18. Started playing guitar when I was in 7th grade, and then kind of have been writing ever since. But didn't really go for it and play out in public until about 2 years ago.
And what spurred that?
To be honest, just being a little bit discontented with everything else, and also seeing some of my friends playing music and just thinking that's really, like, I'm just so jealous, and it's a jealousy that like I can work on, like I can just do that, and then I won't probably feel this way. So yeah, just kind of realizing that was deep down, I think, what I wanted most.
But it wasn't necessarily a career path that you originally envisioned.
No. No.
Is that because you didn't enjoy it that much, or you just thought, oh, this is a nice hobby and I want to keep it so I enjoy it?
So I grew up in like a very weirdly, intensely religious world, and thought I was going to do ministry stuff, probably involved in music, until I turned about 18, and enough really bad experiences kind of added up where I just decided I'm done with all that. I don't know what I'm doing, but it's not going to be that plan. So until a couple of years ago, I was trying to kind of figure that out, and music was kind of a part of that. So it was always something that I did, and I spent way too much time working on it just to kind of have it for fun in private. But it was just kind of something I didn't trust, because I think I kind of hadn't found like my people and my voice, and in kind of finding my people and my voice, it was kind of like, you know what, there's a place for this that is healthy and my own, and kind of separate from any kind of weirdness.
Were you always writing music? I mean, were you always just recording, but just doing it for a different purpose kind of at one time?
Yeah, I've always been doing stuff. I grew up in a musical family and around plenty of other folks who are doing music. So I was always busy doing stuff and like recording stuff in my basement in high school and college and things, but nothing I'd really have any confidence in.
So you went in college, you wouldn't go out to an open mic or a coffee shop?
No.
You didn't have that kind of chutzpah?
I played like a couple shows on campus, but that was really it. And then I fiddled in a country band in town and did things like that. So that was fun. That was really, really fun.
Not being the focus, being able to be the fiddle guy?
Yeah, just being there for the cheap drinks and the characters. Yeah.
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 Well, do you pick up the fiddle still, or
Yeah, I do.
just not at the same time?
Yeah, it's a little difficult. I've been trying to work it into a show.
Hey man, if you can play a 2-neck guitar, there's got to be a way you can work it.
Yeah,
somehow.
there's people that can sing and fiddle at the same time, and that baffles me. Yeah, it's not for me. But every once in a while, I'll kind of try to give myself a solo and let somebody else handle guitar. But yeah, I still kind of play, but it's not my main focus.
But you play fiddle, you don't play violin.
Well, I'm classically trained.
So you're saying
I
you're
can
a triple threat.
I'm a triple threat. Yeah.
Double on violin, fiddle, and
Right.
a single on the guitar.
And quadruple because I dance. No, I don't.
Oh.
I don't dance at all.
Everybody dances. It just may not be good
true.
dancing.
Yeah. The cheap drinks.
Right.
Come
There we
full
go.
circle.
We get
Yeah.
back to the cheap drink. Well, so then you were telling me recently that you're trying to commit yourself to a little more full-on artistic this year. And what inspired that? Just more disillusion?
In a way, yeah.
I think I see what your motivator is.
Right. Yeah.
Sad things.
I mean, to be honest, it really is kind of deep down is the thing that I want, and it's weird to own. It's weird for me to own like my deep down desires, and so it's been kind of that move of as I've just kind of learned to accept that that's what I want, to then kind of act on that and kind of take that leap of faith. And also I've just been developing a bit more of a network and infrastructure and things like that, and so feel like I am at a point where I can start making those moves. Also, I don't have kids yet. So very practically,
very big plus.
If there's a time to start, it's kind of earlier rather than later.
Yeah.
So.
Well, that's great. So have you already envisioned like recordings and things of that nature beyond, or are you just dealing with past songwriting and things that you've got recorded?
Yes. So I have, I'm actually working on a new album right now. I honestly can't think beyond. I have a lot of touring and things planned for this year. Starting in March, I'm going to be gone a lot. But really, I can't think much beyond this album right now. I thought it was going to be done 3 months ago, and I'm still in the throes of it.
I think that's the standard album story, though.
Yeah.
Is it recording still, or is it engineering? And
it's there's a couple things I need to retrack, and then
finding the time and the money and the energy.
Yeah.
That's all it is.
Yeah.
You should be able to get that knocked out.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, just do it after this, man. We'll be done in a few minutes. You can go
Right.
take care of it.
Right.
And then be home for dinner.
Yeah, of course. That's how it goes. Yeah.
That's what everybody says. You know,
Yeah.
It's easy.
Oh, it's rough.
It's so easy
It's
doing
like
what you do.
wading through 3 feet of mud.
Yeah. I can't even imagine. Is it, what are the challenges for you? Like when you have this opus you're working on, is it that you feel like you need to work on you've got to twist something, it's not right, and you just got to find a way to make it right?
Yeah, that's a big part of it. With this, so I put out an album in April that were all very, very personal songs about family that impacted me, songs about different things, like very personal. And I had a strong vision for I want these songs, they're going to be long and they're going to be a slow burn and it's going to fit together like a book and they're all going to develop different threads. And that one was kind of easy to do because I was super inspired. Didn't have high expectations for production and things like that. Just kind of wanted to put them out there in a simple way. And this one, I don't have a kind of really super clear vision. I've had these songs for a while and they're not as personally pressing. Right. Which is not to say I don't enjoy them. It's just not the kind of same burden to get them out. And then also I play almost all the instruments on my album. So it's a little more exhausting to have to do all that and find time to practice all these different parts and perfect them and work them out and kind of do this sketching process where I'm putting together banjo and mandolin and fiddle and percussion and guitar and vocals and then arranging it and trying to figure out how it all fits together.
So are you trying to do all the arranging, all the producing? You're basically just Are you doing this in a home studio or okay?
It's scrappy. I was
gonna say, otherwise
it is scrappy.
We're talking expensive. Because that I can understand, if you just need to do. But being able to block off time when your head's right is probably one of the bigger challenges. And
also knowing when I have no one there to be like, that was fine, or do that again. So there's this kind of weird limbo that I'm in where how much do I want to go? How much is too much?
I think you need some help.
I need some help. I need a lot of help.
Well, just on a very basic level. We won't go deep on this, but I say get somebody in here that could just give you a little high sign and say, you know what? It's going to be good enough.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the biggest challenge. I mean, really for artists in anything is when to stop.
Yeah.
Or when does that extra thing make a quantum value leap?
Yeah. Oh, 100%.
That's tough.
Yeah.
So who do you use as your sounding board then?
Oh, my poor wife. Elizabeth's great.
But she's heard 200
them.
times and she's got to go, it's good enough. Just put it to bed.
Yeah, she's done. A lot of it stays with me. I've got some friends that I'll send some rough mixes to and things and say how do you feel about this? How do you feel about this? But I try to kind of keep things. I'm a big believer in not showing your work too early, until kind of what I see that's invisible is there, because if other people can't see it or I guess hear it,
right.
It might just kind of pour some water on that spark. So,
yeah. So when are you going to be done, man? What's your timetable?
A tough question.
No, it's not.
My real goal is to be done mid-February.
So that you can get on the road and not worry about it.
Correct. Yeah. Have nothing else to think about. And get back to writing.
Yeah.
Because I haven't written as much as I would like, and that's what I really love.
Is it because this is just hanging over your head? Yeah. You're like,
all my creative energy.
But I got to get down there and do that.
Yeah.
Well, then if you just put something out in April and you're already cranking out, I mean, is this full album or is so you're not messing around. You're not doing this, we're going to do 3 songs and let you know about it. It's all or nothing.
Kind of, yeah. My goal is to have them done, and then whatever I do with them, we'll see.
You release it, yeah.
Yeah. But I've got them already, and I'm playing them out, and I have strong ideas for kind of how they should be arranged and things at this point. So as soon as I just want to get it done and know that I can pull it out of my back pocket when I need.
Do you ever, when you're playing them out already, do you ever have that moment while you're playing out that something twists a little different that you didn't do before, that you hear it and then you go, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah, I had a perfectly good take of a song, and then I've been playing it out recently. I've played it out a number of times, but it's relatively new. So I've probably played it out 6 times, and the last 2 times I've realized it's got to be a completely different feel. So,
Wow.
so I've got to go back and retake it. Fortunately, it's very simple. It's not one of my more elaborate ones, but it's still, I thought I had that one in the bag. I was on one hand the things I still had to record, and now I gotta.
Well, but do you see this work going down a very dangerous alley?
Oh, yes.
Because tonight you could play another different song
Right.
differently, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I got to redo that one too.
I know. It's dangerous. It's dangerous. But I think this is it. I really think this is it.
Do you think you're a perfectionist in your life in general?
No, not at all.
So you let everything else just go to hell in a handbasket.
Pretty much. Yeah. The dishes can be piling up in the sink and the bills can be late and whatever, but I've got to get that one take. So it's not good.
Yeah. Elizabeth loves it though.
Oh, she's great.
She's good.
No, she really is. She's incredibly supportive and yeah, she doesn't get enough credit for keeping me sane.
Oh yeah. No,
Yeah.
nobody does.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the people
It's
behind the
impossible.
people.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, whether it's a parent or a loved one or a kid that keeps you centered or balanced. I mean,
Yeah.
it's finding that balance that
Mm-hmm.
I think it allows you to go beyond and do really lunatic things that can make a difference,
Yeah.
or can impact people.
Yeah.
You've got to feel a certain comfort sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it's very helpful. Just having somebody there that is a secure attachment
mhm.
who kind of just empowers you to do what you need to, and then helps reel you in and all that kind of stuff. It's
That's
great.
the real thing. They got to know when to reel you in,
Yeah,
and you got to know when to listen.
yeah, yeah,
that's
the hard.
marriage.
That's the hard part.
That's the marriage
Yeah.
part. That has nothing to do with art. That's just marriage, man.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
Or any relationship.
Yeah.
So when you play out, do you play out with full band or just solo, or do you like to do them both?
So it just depends. Haven't done a full band set yet. Doing one soon though. And by full band I mean kind of a newgrass trio. We'll probably eventually add drums and do kind of more, less grassy things. So I've tried to keep it pretty light so far. Do a lot of solo stuff. But there's just some songs that just don't translate without having some extra kind of oomph.
Yeah.
So it just depends.
So we'll see.
Yeah.
Do you know the name of the new album yet?
I do. Yeah.
So that was the first thing you came up with. Like
concept
you had a cool
first.
album. You had a cool cover. You did like this cartoon thing you've driven out.
Yeah, it's called Kindness. And I'm very like concept oriented. So if I don't have a concept for something, it's all going to fall
tough
apart.
to structure everything.
Yeah. So it's called Kindness. And it's not as kind of conceptually tight and like very conceptually focused as my last album. But it's about kind of just trying to recognize the unkindness in myself and work towards being kind, which I think is especially something that probably more men should work on. There's plenty of not kind men in the world.
I think we could say there's lots of unkind people in general.
True.
Men just seem to find a way to make it very apparent.
Yes. Yeah, we mess it up pretty bad. And so just working on kindness and things, and then focusing on like romantic relationships and intimate relationships as a kind of seedbed, as a place to kind of start. I feel like to learn to love and accept love and be kind, you got to start practicing somewhere. And for me, why not start kind of in my most immediate relationship, which is my relationship with Elizabeth and with friends, and in places that are private and not really seen, but still formative of my character and the way that I engage the world.
Well, so when you go on tour, how far are you going?
So we're doing a couple Southeast runs with some friends of mine from Heather Steika out of Chicago, and then Rachel Lavin out of San Antonio. Going to Texas. Been in Texas a lot. Doing a Northeast run. Might be going to Chicago. Probably going to the UK. We'll see. We're just going for it.
Are the three of you working as an entity and you're trying to support each other that way?
It's
or are you split it?
Different runs with different people. So Rachel and I will do separate runs, and Heather and I will do separate runs. But when we go, normally someone will sing some kind of harmony with me, and then I will be able to support them on like fiddle, mandolin, whatever they need.
Yeah. Carry their bags around, whatever.
Yeah.
You're the roadie.
Sure. that works for me.
So how do you decide to leap to UK? Where does that come in? Somebody just has a connection and says, hey, my friend wants to throw a party. Why don't we come over and do this?
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah. We're going to a wedding anyway, going to be over there. And it just kind of worked out. My friend had a connection over there. And so we're kind of just piecing it together as things come together and trying to take advantage of any little opportunity to keep moving.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm always curious about musician relationships, and I never thought about it till you just said this, but you said, yeah, I'm doing a tour with somebody in Chicago and then somebody in San Antonio. Are these college friends, school friends, church, where you just find each other on the road? How do you develop that?
So I'm doing a run also with Jane Kramer out of Asheville. So Jane and Heather I met at the Southeast Region Folk Alliance Conference, SURFA, and that's a great way to meet people. Rachel I met we lived in Houston for 2 years, which is where I started. And so just kind of met through the songwriting scene out there and kind of have just gotten to know people through that. We actually played at a festival. A bunch of kind of the Texas people played at this festival right outside of Austin. And then Heather was, I'm getting everybody confused. Rachel, who I had heard a lot of good things about through that scene, was also playing at that festival. So we just kind of met there and
hit it off and said, hey.
Yeah.
So what does the Alliance do? I don't think I've ever heard of this. So now I'm feeling like you're informing me now. That's what I need. I need to learn more stuff.
Great. So it's part of a bigger body called Folk Alliance International. And I'm not by any means an expert.
You're not the
but
secretary of the club or anything.
Hell no. So they just kind of convene different folks within the folk world. So you'll have venues and publicists and different industry people, and you'll have artists, and then folks who just generally like folk music will show up too. And it's basically a gigantic networking experience. And they have different regional ones that meet, and then they have an international one that meets as well. And it's just a great way to get in front of people. And
so is it done like at a convention center or something, and you get a chance to go learn different aspects of the business maybe, but then also there's performance aspects tied in.
There's showcases. It's a marathon. So for an artist, there's starting at about 8 or 9, there's programming all day with different kind of how to maximize social media, Spotify playlists, this and that. And then towards the evening, they have official showcases. You apply for that, you get in, you don't, whatever. And then there's guerrilla showcases that go until 2 or 3 or 4 in the morning.
Are they more like jam sessions or something? Or
different people will get rooms in a hotel or a convention center, and we'll have them as like unofficial venues. And so these will all be going on at the same time. And some people...
Oh, you're talking room parties.
Yeah.
That's the guerrilla showcase.
It's like a house concert in a hotel. Like it's a house concert festival on a floor of a hotel almost.
Right. So your neighbors, though, must hate that in the hotel.
They took over the whole thing anyway.
Oh, okay.
So and by the end of everything, there's dark circles on everybody's eyes. Nobody's slept. It's a total mess. But it's really cool. And it's super helpful to just meet like amazing musicians and people that put on shows at house concerts and venues and things, and it's cool. It's a really good.
How did you get involved with that? Did somebody tell you about it, or
just people in that Texas scene? I'm so new. Anybody tells me anything, and I try to just show up. And so yeah.
And so, do you keep up with? Do they have an annual, or is it every quarter they do something? Or
so everyone kind of has an annual conference, and I know they do things outside of the kind of annual conferences.
Right. You've only got so much time.
Only got so much time.
Focus. Yeah.
So they kind of annually, each region will have their big kind of gathering, including the international one, which is normally in Kansas City. This year it's in Montreal. So yeah.
Wow. Yeah. Thanks.
Yeah.
Now I got to go learn more about it.
Check it out. It's pretty cool. It's in Chattanooga this coming year. It was in Montreat, North Carolina for the Southeast one.
When's it in Chattanooga, do you know?
In
spring?
May. I think it's in May.
Will you try to go?
Yeah. I'm going to try to go again.
Make it at least for a little bit.
Yeah. They say the southern one is kind of the most like family one. We all kind of eat together, which apparently doesn't happen a lot. and it's just kind of a little more chill than some of the others I've heard.
Huh, but you've never tried one of the others.
I'm just going off of gossip.
Yeah.
And, these are all things that people,
now the Folk Alliance people know about it. You're on the radar. You better watch it. You're the gossip.
Prove me wrong, someone.
Yes, please. Have your family dinners.
Yeah.
Wow. Well, thanks for coming in. Is there anything else you want to talk about that I didn't cover?
No, not really.
You sure?
I can think
Any
of.
personal issues you want to uncover right now?
Oh, well, now we open Pandora's
Elizabeth
box.
may be listening.
She probably is. She follows up.
Mm-hmm. Well, okay. Well, thanks, man. It's fun.
Yeah, thank you. All right. It's real. I lost my taste for poetry, picked up my taste for gin when we headed out for Houston with no family and no friends. And we moved out here this time last year, threw dirt on sparks that we held dear. Oh, send me an eastbound wind. And I traded in my walking boots for a pair of polished shoes. Took up a boss man's Bible, led the dying towards their tombs. But all the prayers that I prayed here just paid my bills and bought my beer. Oh, send me an eastbound wind. Intercede for me, sweet Saint Cecilia, plead my case. To the rocks and trees this earth will understand, and let all of heaven's ears grow closed out where the burning dust all glows. The only dust that we will know will wash from our feet. And I wrapped my faith in bubble wrap, made altars and moving vans, and I did my best to dodge them hammers swung by Christian hands. But this fragile thing that we keep warm just might tire out before it's born. Oh, send me an eastbound wind. Intercede for me, sweet Saint Cecilia, plead my case. To the rocks and trees this earth will understand, and let all of heaven's ears grow closed out where the burning dust all glows. The only dust that we will know will wash from our feet. Where it is my friends have been is where I want to go. And where it is my friends have been is what I want to know. And I'm getting tired of holding smiles for memories of absent folks. So, oh, send me an eastbound wind. Oh, send me an eastbound wind. Oh, send me an eastbound wind. It's Texas Blues number 7.
You want to do another one?
What's the kind of like standard protocol?
There is no standard. If you don't want to do anything else, you're done. If you want to say, you know what, I'll do another one.
Let me do one more.
Yeah.
I'll do one more just in case.
Yeah.
Just in case.
Let's do this.
This one's called Cigarettes and Moon Pies. It's I'm from North Carolina originally, and so it's just like a bunch of absurdisms. Give me whiskey in the morning, give me coffee in the evening. Give me snapbacks and Cracker Jacks and other things that I believe in. And you can crack this jack and snap back at the things you swear I like. I will love you more, babe, every day. Give me cigarettes in the afternoon, read me Faulkner when I get real blue. And the moon's as big as moon pies, rising high in that marble light sky. And I will bring you peaches that were picked out in Georgia. R.C. Cole as I pick up all 64. Well, I ain't good at much, nothing. I hope I'm getting good at loving. I hope I'm getting good at letting you love me. And I tell you about them good old days when Richard Petty ran the raceway. And he was king and I was prince. Only problem is I wasn't born back then, and you would just smoke rising high. Your parents didn't know, but I knew that I was meant to love you, babe. Oh, and I will bring you Emmylou and Doc Watson, babe. We'll see who plays who, and you can drag your needle across my heart and cross stitch upon my skin when I get cross and don't give in. Babe, I need your name upon my heart. Well, I ain't good at much, nothing. I hope I'm getting good at loving. I hope I'm getting good at letting you love me. I ain't good at much, nothing. I hope I'm getting good at loving. I hope I'm getting good at letting you love me. So stay under these sheets with me and be the place that we should be. I'll be the briars in the berry patch, and I'll pull them old blue jeans back, and I will be your huckleberry, or whatever country song you care. We'll both learn something about being free. And the sun has dropped itself on me, is sweeter than the sweetest thing. And I see your face on every sign up 181. And the muscadines all have your smile, so I keep them in my mouth most times. Go out looking for that wholesome seed. Yeah, I ain't good at much or nothing. I hope I'm getting good at loving. I hope I'm getting good at letting you love me. I ain't good at much or nothing. I hope I'm getting good at loving. I hope I'm getting good at letting you love me.
Well, I am Zachary Steele. I am the founder and executive director of Broadleaf Writers Association, which is a nonprofit that is dedicated to teaching the craft of writing. And by craft, I mean learning how to put words properly on the page, how to write strong characters, write a solid first page, world building, any genre, any age. And we believe very firmly that not only is it the best path to publication, learning how to write well, but it has personal and professional benefits in that you learn language, you learn how to articulate better, you learn how to write reports, essays, emails, whatever it happens to be.
Yeah. Well, so we had talked once before, I think when you were doing, it was a conference, was it? It might have been 2 years?
Yeah, I believe before the second conference. We're on the fourth one this year.
And when is that?
September 21st and 22nd.
Okay. So it's upcoming. And how's that been? How have you seen that progress?
We've had good growth with it. Actually, this past year we doubled in size and got a very strong base of younger writers from college age to early 20s, which is ideal, obviously.
Because they'll be in the pipeline for a while.
Exactly. There's that part of it. Yeah, I mean, obviously that's something we have to think about, but also I just want to be able to get to younger writers so they can learn the craft a little bit earlier. Because I do remember what I was like in my mid-20s when I thought I had a good grasp on it, and I was nowhere near where I needed to be.
And so, am I correct that after this last conference, did you make a leap with Broadleaf? Did you make a switch?
I did, for myself personally and for the organization. After working 3.5 years to build up the organization, build up its membership, build up awareness, it felt like the right time to take it on full time. So I removed myself from the working world and threw myself full time into Broadleaf. And so for the organization, what that means is we can add very regular programming. I can help expand the reach, work the very necessary fundraising side of it, and reach more writers.
Is that being the main driver of all the?
I am the singular employee. Now that said, I have a very, very, and I use this word literally, they are awesome people, a board of directors who are not just there to bring ideas and help be a face of an organization. They want to do stuff, and they're helping me build the programming platform and working with me. So they're not employees because I can't pay them, but they're great people, and I'm glad to have them.
And how big is your board? Just a lot of people don't realize how nonprofits.
Yeah, I mean every nonprofit has to have a board of directors, and we started off very small. We're starting to grow the board. I think we're up to 9 members right now. We're trying to get to 11 by the end of the year, and we may sit there for a little while until we see better growth. But yeah, the board of directors, I can't just come in and dictate what's going to happen. I present my ideas. My board of directors has the opportunity to nix it if they don't believe in the direction, because they are there to represent the interests of both the mission and the nonprofit.
And have the same group of people been engaged from the beginning, or is it?
I have one person who is one of the founding board members, but we had after the second year we had some turnover because, again, I mean, people, they build other things in their lives and have to cut back somewhere. But we added some more board members in 2018, early 2018, that have held in there, and we have a very we're in the second year of basically having the same group with a couple other people added.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, so that helps.
So the original was to do as many programs you can, but mainly the annual event, right? That was kind of the keystone.
Yeah, initially because I was working full-time and trying to be a writer myself, so I had to carve out time for that.
Well, this is a lot easier for you to be a writer then, isn't it?
Oh, yes. Yeah, running a nonprofit gives me lots of time. But no, we did the annual conference from the get-go. It was the very first thing we did, and we've had some spotty programs here and there just to try to keep people engaged. But it's just been difficult to add anything further, just because I only had so much time that I could do it, which is why I'm excited about this year.
And so, what in your perfect world, if you can get the worlds to align, how does the programming look throughout the year?
There's the short-term answer and the long-term answer. The short-term answer is we have programs at least once a month, with the exception of August, because we're in that sort of 6-week window running up to the conference, and it's all about the conference, which takes a lot of organizing and planning and structure and everything. So at least one program a month that move around in terms of topics. Like we have a right now program is what we call it, and it's part social, part informal talk that moves around. Like we have one coming up at Foxtail Bookshop in Woodstock in February that's about writing a first page. I'm working on a program for April that's about it's a workshop on poetry. Working on something later in the year that's screenplay writing. Something that is about strictly world building. We're trying to create programs that tap into the various pockets of writing that exist in and around the Atlanta area.
And at the same time, as you were kind of telling me before, it's a traveling roadshow of sorts, right? Trying to meet the audience where they are.
Yeah, I mean, we want to have certain programming that's anchored. Like we want our conference, which will be moving this year, but we want to have it in a central place that it stays going forward. And then we're doing a self-publishing seminar in March, and if that does well, then I'll want to keep doing that because writers still want to know about self-publishing, and I'd want to anchor that. Now the rest of the programming, like I said, we're in Woodstock in February. I'm working on something that's south of the city, possibly in McDonough. We did Moreland last year, something in Dunwoody, something near Decatur, and other places, just wherever I happen to find things, because I recognize that writers don't always come to one place, but if I can move programming around, then I can bring programming to the writers.
Yeah. They're not always the most social group.
They don't
cluster in a small village with TVs all around.
There is not a single formula that guarantees you're going to get writers out of their home.
Right.
I have done.
Unless you go to their home.
I've done this, and they may not want that. They may
like
go
a
somewhere.
Tupperware party.
You may show up there and there's nobody there. No, I mean, that's why. Put it in a bookstore, you have a better chance. Make sure there's food and drink, you have a better chance. Tell them there's going to be other writers there, you have a better chance. You can add all these components, but you still can't guarantee it. And that's, some of our programming is free and some of it
Well, what is it's curious. We've said this before, we've talked about this, but there's almost an educational pathway that you have a great opportunity to provide that writers need to realize they need to get out of their house. As much as they need to work on their craft, there's something about socializing, but also talking to other writers and hearing that professional development.
We just did a program this Saturday with the Authors Guild Foundation. It was at the Decatur Library. It was a boot camp business side of writing mostly, but I had the same conversation with the writers when I had my moment to talk that I have at every program, and I use the word community. And I do sort of replace the word community instead of using networking, because that's an even more frightening word for writers. Right. You tell them they have to network, that means, okay, I definitely have to talk to people.
Right.
But community is something that I preach, because writers, the one thing they need the most is they need other writers. They need to be able to sit down with other writers or be in a room with other writers and share the pain and the struggle and realize that they're not alone, that there are others just like them who are trying to achieve the same thing, who need me as a writer as much as I need them. Right. And so when I say community, I mean I need writers to understand that writers are stronger when they're with other writers.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're a new writer, it's like anything. You're an apprentice of sorts, and the things you know and understand, and the struggle you're going through, is reflected most likely in a lot of other people. But you always feel it's your issue and your problem.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
If you don't know how to deal with it, then you're in a real bad impasse.
Yeah, and the conference and any programming where I have speakers, I try to bring in writers who are accomplished. They're not just published, but they're well reviewed, and they've done well on the bestsellers list and things like that. But we as writers trying to be those people look at them like they've achieved something we never can. Obviously things worked out for them. It's fine. But then they get on stage and they tell their story, and the writers in the audience get to see that they went through the same thing. They had moments of depression, they had doubt, they had the struggle of sitting down and write, worrying about whether or not they were trying to fool themselves. Yeah. And yet through it all they persevered and got to where they were. And these writers can too.
Yeah. Yeah, that's the commonality that people don't realize, that once you've heard somebody had 25 rejection letters on their book that finally broke, do you realize, okay, maybe my rejection letters aren't so important yet.
Exactly.
I've only got 15.
Exactly. I still have a ways to go.
Exactly. Well, so I find it curious, because you've done a lot of work, through the Decatur Library and also with the Georgia Center for the Book. So is this for you a stepping kind of aside or parallel to some of those programs and things you've done before? Do you find you're able to inject more or less from your position when you're now with Broadleaf?
I definitely have more mental room and energy to give to it. I mean, I've been at this game for writing games since I was very, very young, and I've certainly learned a lot and gained a lot of insight from writers who have achieved success. And I have a couple books published myself, so at least I have some experience backing me. And I think it gives me a very, I feel, not unique, but a very grounded point of view to reach writers, because I'm still trying to be more than I am as a writer, but I'm also trying to give to writers community and knowledge and the education to become better than they are now.
But as you look at it, in a lot of respects, people don't think about it, but you're an entrepreneur right now, right? You're running a small business. I'm sorry to say that,
nonprofit
Zach,
or not, I am a business owner.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And that can be an all-encompassing, around-the-clock, mental,
Yeah, there's just, okay, so I was sitting at home yesterday after a very exhausting week and realizing I was tired and thought, okay, I'm not going to move. That's fine. And that was great. But the first thing I did was open up my computer and start answering emails and I'm building a resource guide for writers and things like that. And I was enjoying myself. And it was about 30 minutes in before I thought, no, this is supposed to be an off day. And I did force myself to stop. But my point to that is just that I know what it's like to own a business. I've done that before, and I know how exhausting that can be and how you have to turn off your brain. But my passion for this, my belief in this is so strong that it never feels like work to me. This is a pure joy to have this opportunity in my life, and to be able to help writers connect, help writers grow in their craft, and hopefully to succeed. Yeah. That to me, it doesn't make it feel like work.
Well, but what about the craft of writing for yourself, though? How do you carve out the time for that?
The advantage of not working a full-time job and trying to do this with whatever hours I have is that, again, back to that energy thing.
So you feel like you've gained time by stepping away
even if I haven't gained time, I've gained energy.
Yeah.
And that ability to focus.
Yeah.
And
your brain's not partitioned in 4 places, only in 2.
Exactly. Yeah. Mm-hmm. I've just given more of the partition to Broadleaf now.
Yeah.
But no, I have I've been very, very specific with my schedule thus far in this first month of full time with Broadleaf to make sure that I had the time I needed to write.
Yeah.
And I treat it the way every writer should, because we all have to have jobs. We all have families, or we all have something that we have to pay attention to. But if you're going to write, you have to give yourself that time. You have to say, okay, this block of time is for writing and writing only, and that's what I'm doing.
Yeah. Well, so how do you, at this point at least, how do you see you defining success for Broadleaf? Like in the first year. I mean, a lot of companies, it's profit, it's about growth, It's about this, that. What do you think is going to be something that you and a board can peg and say, okay, we did it right, let's now revamp?
I think with any business, the first measure of success is going to be sustainability. So I'm going to give you 2 types of answers here. The business answer, which is sustainability and growth. So if we're creating the programs and getting the attendance and the streams of revenue through membership and fundraising, sponsorship, to sustain all of it, then that's a success. We're a nonprofit. We're not here to make scores of money. We just want to be able to afford to do what we do. From a personal vantage, I have learned over time not to create a singular point at which I say that's what success is, because I find that if I don't reach that singular point, that I feel as though I have failed.
You failed, yeah.
And so that being the case, I don't know what's ahead. I don't know what's coming. I don't know what may happen tomorrow. And so I try to remain flexible and open to the idea of success and realize that doing it is a success. As a writer, writing a book is a success, because that's a hard thing to do. Yeah. Doing what I'm doing now is a hard thing to do. But the fact that I'm doing it, to me, is successful.
Oh, now, come on, Zach. I know back there in the back of that brain, there's at least one thing that you're going, man, if I could pull this off in year 1, that would be really...
I'll put a number. That would I have something. Numbers in my head that,
right.
like if I look at the conference, for example, I'd love to be able to move it to a new location and double the crowd. From a membership standpoint, I have said to the board, my goal is to double our membership this year because I have the time to do it. So I do have definable goals that I'm trying to reach.
Right.
I will leave myself the freedom to understand that things happen.
Right.
Not everything happens at the time that I want it to happen. Because if it did, I would already be, J.K. Rowling.
Right. Well, what would someone who's maybe a budding writer or a suffering writer who's been at it,
We're
for
all
a good
suffering
while?
writers.
I know, but what is what do you feel is the real benefit for becoming part of Broadleaf or joining as a member and getting engaged more?
I think it's very easy to get lost in the worlds that you create, and so, and also to get too close to the work that you do. I mean, it's like having a child. I wouldn't know. I don't have any, but I hear it's like having.
Too, yes.
I hear it's like having a child.
It's all encompassing.
So I would say that the primary advantages are it gets you out of your head, which you need to do. You need to be able to see the real world and meet people and share ideas, because you're going to experience more moments of eureka sharing it with others. I mean, I've had, some of these best-selling writers have breakthroughs at conference because they were talking to an attendee. So you never know where you're going to get it at. You never know what connections you're going to make that become not just writing connections, but friends. I mean, I have friends that I've had for years because I went to a conference,
right.
And they've been hugely beneficial to me in my growth in the craft and in my connections. You never know who's going to be connected to an agent that might be able to help you, or it's just it's getting out of your hole and getting out and learning, because you have to continue to learn, and being a part of a group of people trying to reach the same dream.
Well, and isn't part of this what you're saying? I think is something the creative community has trouble grasping at times. Is that there's the creative aspect, which is a struggle and a battle. Creating what you create, and you need to have engagement with community on that. But it's the business of the art that the majority of creators really are lacking, and they're thinking, if I just create something good enough, it'll work. But
yeah.
It takes some acumen.
And there's a large learning curve to understand the industry and how to even get into it. There will always be stories of people who got that golden ticket and just boom, they were there. But for most writers, how to find an agent. Let's just start there. How to find an agent. What does an agent do? What does it mean if I don't have an agent versus if I do? How do I get an agent? What are the things? And that's just agent side of it. Yeah. We're not even talking about the contract side of it, or how does the publishing industry actually work? How long will it be before my book comes out, even if it gets accepted? There's so many questions that come with the business side of it. It is better to be well educated in it and understand it than to be afraid of it and keep yourself at a distance.
Well, and I think a lot of people think, well, I'll just create something really magical and then it'll take off. And it very well could, but at the same time, something that a lot of people just don't think about is that publishing world works on totally different timetables. So you could have the next great novel, but they'll go, oh, that looks good for 2021.
Yeah, and I do actually think this is why self-publishing has become such a big thing, because people are
controlling their own destiny.
They're controlling it. They're overwhelmed by the industry. Whatever it happens, whatever the reasoning happens to be. But the one thing that most writers who, and I won't speak for all of them obviously, but for most writers who do that, or even writers who are looking at traditional publishing, that another part of it that they don't know they need to know, and they need to know thoroughly, is they're going to be doing their own marketing. You could get published.
That's a whole other job.
You could get published by Random House, and you're going to have to do your own marketing. The publishing houses now don't spend marketing dollars on you unless you're a known quantity, which is, it's very backwards logic.
It's the chicken or egg.
I'm going to spend money where I know it will do good. I mean, these people, James Patterson doesn't need marketing dollars, but they're going to give it to him.
Right.
Whereas, a debut author or somebody on their second or third book, if they don't have, the history of large sales, a large fan base, then they're not going to really put any money into it. And they may not even pay for a tour.
Yeah.
So, it's up to the writer, whether you're self-published or traditionally published, to market yourselves. And that's something that we focus on in every single one of these big programs.
Yeah. And, I find it interesting. I'm lucky that I get to speak to brilliant people like you and people in music and people in other realms. But the thing that, the commonality that I'm seeing is the way that the American business model, I'll only deal with America because that's the only one I know, but in all the creative arts, is literally in lockstep right now. So if you're a musician, you're not getting, the label backing. They're asking, well, how many followers do you have? How many people are you bringing to the table?
Yeah.
So their job is really minimized in the amount of effort they're doing, because they're saying, oh, you've got 20,000 followers, then we're interested.
And honestly, I think that's probably where most of it, and I'll speak for the publishing industry specifically, that they felt very at peace with spending less money on marketing, because as they realized that they couldn't spend as much money, social media was starting to rise, and those social media is this vast
wasteland.
It is.
That has gems.
It's extremely useful, and it's crowded, and there are so many platforms. You don't know which one you need to use, kind of thing, and who's going to be able. Anyway, it's become a way for writers to market themselves. Some writers think it's the only way. That is not true, but it's become a way to market yourself that a publisher could never have done anyway.
Right.
And so, even from a basic standpoint, having that accessibility to a platform is useful, and writers have to learn how to use it, because you can't just constantly sell.
Right.
You have to actually be a person.
Yeah. Well, do you find that there's being broadleaf here in the South, do you see any aspects of the South that kind of play in a different way that other regions may not experience? Whether it's in the stories or in the way the authors
just the writing in general. Yeah, I mean, the thing is that though I disagree with the write what you know kind of thing, because you can always learn something. Write what you're willing to learn. Regionally, most fiction specifically will develop from that connection. You were born and raised in Georgia, Alabama, Florida, Mississippi, wherever it happens to be, and so you tend to write from the vantage of that region. My characters are based in Georgia or whatever it happens to be, or your story is heavily influenced by the politics of the region, whatever it happens to be. So yeah, I mean, you can definitely pick through fiction that is, even Stephen King, most of his characters, his world took place in Maine. So I mean, it's always influenced by where your home is.
Yeah. Do you think that we in the South or writers in this area are at a disadvantage from not being closer to New York or LA or Chicago, or do you think that the internet and social media has kind of broken down that doorway there?
Yeah, I mean, once upon a time that was a thing, and where it stopped being a thing was when, for example, you send in your submissions. It used to be in a you send it in an envelope, and you had to include what they called an SASE, a self-addressed stamped envelope, to return something, and the process was long and arduous, and it was a lot easier to make the connections if you lived in or around New York, for example, where most of the publishing houses and agencies were. But now, I mean, email, internet, social media, and it's important to another thing that I want people to understand is that Georgia in particular is a very, very strong, has a very strong base of writing. We have a few literary agencies, reputable literary agencies that are in Georgia. We have some publishers, small presses that are growing up and doing really good work in Georgia. That didn't exist before. And so being in Georgia so far from New York doesn't give you any kind of disadvantage at all. I mean, again, if you're going to these conferences and workshops where they're bringing in, like we do, literary agents or editors or people who are connected to those New York and Chicago and wherever companies, you're getting the connections that you wouldn't have gotten otherwise.
Yeah. Are those entities, that internal business structure for publishing, are those in and around Atlanta, or are they spread throughout the state?
Well, I mean, there's one literary agency. One in particular, I think, is out near, not in, but near Athens, kind of thing. So, I mean, I know of one small press that just started and is doing really good work, and they're 30 minutes south of Atlanta, kind of thing. So, I would say they still have, a reach to Atlanta. that 45-minute to an hour window kind of thing. Not as familiar with things that may have popped up in the very southern reaches of the state or the very northern reaches of the state. So it's not centralized, but it's definitely within reach of Atlanta.
Okay. Well, it's been real helpful. Well, if somebody wants to learn more about Broadleaf or maybe get engaged or join as a writer or as an agent or anything like that, what's the best way for them to do that?
There's a couple different ways. We have a website, broadleafwriters.com. We have an email address that goes directly to me, which is just broadleafwriters@gmail.com. We have a Facebook page that you can like. We have a Twitter page that you can follow. We have an Instagram page that you can follow.
All those wonderful things.
We're out there. But I mean, the primary way, if people have questions or want to be involved but don't know how to do it, or have
maybe they have space for
whatever it happens to be. I mean, emailing me is the quickest way to do it, because I will respond. Short of those days where I'm forcing myself to not work, which is very hard to do. But emails I'll answer pretty quickly.
And you're always looking for sponsors, right?
I am always looking for sponsors. I am a nonprofit.
Yeah. Thanks for coming in, Zach.
You're welcome. I enjoyed it. Thank you very much.
That's it for another Good Gracious Show podcast. Again, I want to remind you, check out these amazingly talented folks, Broadleaf Writers Association, as well as Nathan Evans Fox. Go to their websites, get engaged with what they do, go see them where they are, and it makes the Southern Arts Collective a lot richer. And your support there is terrific, as well as come on down to the show on February 9th, Saturday night, 8 o'clock. Yeah, kids are invited. It is not a problem. But you can find everything at goodgracioussshow.com. You can find us on Facebook. You can also find us on Instagram, Twitter. Sometimes that's GG Show Atlanta. And, just bring in good stuff to everybody. So I hope in 2019 you can get more engaged and you can share these stories with more. I want to really spread the word a lot more in 2019 and get a really good gathering of folks to support our Southern creatives. So until next week, be a good neighbor, hug someone, and take care.